Hi students, it's time for another art class and I hope you're doing great. It's almost the end of the trimester, so the projects we're working on are going to be for next trimester, but I hope you're having fun with them. So let's look at the Godzilla of the week and then we'll get on with the art, right? So this week we have Gauss. He's an enemy of Gamera, and Gamera is that turtle I showed you a while back, and this guy is Gauss. He's the chief nemesis of Gamera. He's kind of like a bat creature, and he's kind of cool. This toy is like from 1995, which is like 25 years old. It didn't seem old at the time when I bought it, but now he's like super old. Anyways, he's kind of a clunky toy, but he's a cool monster. And that's Gauss. He fights Gamera. Gamera's that turtle-like Godzilla creature. Similar to Godzilla, right? Anyways, that's it for the Godzilla of the week. Let's get to the art portion of the video. Hi, lower multi-age students, remote students. Today we're going to be making this giant fish thing. Now it's so big I have to hold my camera, so here I'm going to show you. Now this is just the drawing, right? So this is what I did in class. I actually did it last week, so you're a little behind, but that's okay. It's better that you're behind. But this is what we finished. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to draw this big fish. And then you're going to draw some kinds of patterns. There's different kinds of patterns you can make, but here's some examples of those patterns. So we're going to draw this fish together. You received, for supplies, you received this big blank stapled paper, right? And we're going to draw our fish on it, and then we're going to try to trace the fish on the other side, right? But for today, we're just going to draw it. We're going to draw our fish. And the trick is to make it fill the whole page. That is a very difficult thing for a elementary school student to do. So I'll show you the tricks to make sure your fish fits the whole page, right? There's a technique. We'll do it together. Then next week, we'll ink it. So you'll need a Sharpie or a permanent marker, but we'll do that next time and we'll trace it. So we'll do that next week, and then we'll try to trace it on the other side. Then what we're going to do is you're going to color this thing. So with paints or watercolors, since there's only a few of you remote, I might just send home some watercolors for you to paint this thing. But you'll paint both sides. Then what we'll do is we're going to I'll send home some. Oh, I gotta send home some yarn. I'll do that for the third week. I'll send home the yarn with the watercolor. So, but that'll be a couple weeks. What we'll do is we'll sew this thing, or a parent can help you, and then we'll stuff it with newspaper. So we'll have like a 3D fish. He'll be kind of like a pillow, except you can't use him as a pillow because he'll get squished. But he'll have shape because we'll stuff him with newspaper. Okay. But for now, all we have is a blank paper. So I'm going to move this thing to the side, and let's talk about drawing our fish. I think I have to hold my camera, so if it gets a little wavy, sorry about that. It doesn't really matter what side you do. I recommend the fold is on the bottom. The fold is on the bottom. Yeah. Okay. Then you need a number 2 pencil. That's funny. I started this video and I have to hold this. I gotta get a number 2 pencil. Oh, hello. Really? I don't know if I'm have one. Okay, I'm gonna grab one real quick. Let's see. Let's see. Do I have a better one? Okay, well, I'm gonna use this pencil. This is a mechanical pencil. A number 2 pencil. It basically has number 2 lead. It does, yeah, number 2. But if you have like it might be easier if you have just a regular yellow pencil that you have to sharpen, right? I can't find mine, so I'm gonna use this. It'll work the same. Now I'm gonna zoom out here so that you can see what I'm going to do. You can see my whole paper. Oh my gosh, I got to hold this even higher. Let's see. This is going to be comfortable. Okay, so now the trick is, okay, you can see my whole paper. I got to move stuff over. Hold on. Oh, that was a bummer. Let's see here. Okay, that's it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the first thing is we want to draw our fish, and he's kind of shaped like a lemon. The trick though is how you don't want to draw them small. Like I get a lot of if I don't tell my students not to, they'll draw a fish like this big, and that's too small. So we want this whole page to be filled up. So let me show you a trick that may help you draw your fish that fits the whole page. So first, let's see, how far is this? If a parent is there helping you, this is about like it's about 2.5 inches down. So we're going to draw a little line here, right? Now I'm drawing kind of lightly. You want to draw lightly. You don't want to press down really hard with your pencil, because then if you have to erase, it will be difficult. So you're just going to go lightly. Remember, next week we're going to use a marker and we're going to trace it, so that'll make it look dark, but it doesn't need to be dark for today. Maybe I'll make this a little darker so you can see it, but it doesn't have to be a dark line. It's about 2.5 inches from the top. Then about 2.5 inches from the bottom, you're going to have another line. You know what, it can be a little higher than that. Let's make it like, I don't know, like 3.5. Okay, so it's a little more. So there it is. So you can see that that's the height of our fish, right? You're like, wow, that's too big. I know. It's bigger than what you may have drawn. Then about, I don't know, about 2 inches or less, you're going to have another line about in the middle. And so that's where our lemon or football fish shape, focus, is going to match. And now over here, we want to go back a little further. So I don't know, this may be about 6 inches. So if a parent is helping you, great. If not, it's about that much. Let's see. In fact, I think, I don't know, it can be like here. So I don't know, is that about 6 inches? That's about 6 inches. Nah, maybe it's 5 or 6 inches. 5 or 6 inches, yeah. So you can see I got these 4 marks. I'm going to use those. Sorry about the focus. That's about where our fish is going to happen. And here, I got to use my elbow to hold this down. So I can even connect these. So you want to now sometimes I get students where it's kind of like a diamond, like they don't curve it enough. Think of like a big round lemon. Like don't just go like right. You want to really curve your line. It's going to be a big, kind of like a lemon. That was almost a little too curved. That's good. I think I'd rather you curve it too much than not enough. Then from this line to this, I'm going to curve it. And again, it's kind of like a big lemon or a potato, I guess. All right, so you can see it. And then it's going to kind of come. Now I'm doing it kind of lightly, right? You can see my line though, but it's lightly because that way if you need to erase, you can. And then final one. Now remember, not like a diagonal, like it's going to be, I got to hold it with my elbow. So instead of a lemon, I kind of have a potato, but that's actually a pretty good shape. It's rounded. It's like a big oval, right? And you'll notice that it fills most of my page. That's kind of the most important thing. That is a very difficult thing to do. So parent, if you're helping your student, help them out. Like if they did a line like this, right? And it's too, just kind of make it more rounded, and then you can help them erase it a little bit, right? So I'm going to erase that. I probably shouldn't have done that. That's typically what I get. I get lines that are too diamond shaped. You want it to be round, like a potato or a lemon or a football. Okay. So what's next? Next, we're going to draw the back fin. Okay. So there's like fins in the back, and it's going to go all the way back to the back of the paper. So let's just draw a line right here. So that's kind of like one of the marks of the fin. And then not from here, but like from about right here, we're going to draw a big kind of curvy line. That's going to be the top of our fin, like that. Right? That's not so bad. And then not here, but like here. Actually more like lower, like here. Here, you're going to draw that other line. It can curve a little if you want. Then we need lines in between here and here. So, and they can curve a little, or like that. So that's the back fin of my fish. Notice that it goes all the way to the end of the paper. So that's a big fin, right? But that we need this thing to be big because we're going to stuff this thing. It's going to be it's going to be large and fun to do. Okay. Now let's do the top fin. The top fin. I forget what that's called. I forget about all the anatomy of a fish, but I'm going to call it the top fin. Now, again, we want this to be very close, almost touching the top of the paper. So there's going to be two curves. So there's going to be so let's see, where am I? Well, here's that middle point. It's going to be probably right about here. It's a little to the left of that, and it's going to curve almost to the top. Then it's going to come down a little. Oh, come down more. And then another curve. So it could probably, let's see. Yeah, it's something like that. I could have curved down a little more. So it's kind of like that. Then we want to have those lines similar to this. Okay, so here we go. Have one here. You should stop here though. One here. We don't need too many of these. So how many am I putting in here? Let's see, 1, 2, 4. Let's have 4 lines. One here, and then one here. Don't do too many of these. I mean, if you do, it's okay. If you draw too many lines, though, you're going to have to trace it on the other side. So that's more work. So I recommend that you don't do too many of these lines. If you do, I mean, it's okay, but you'll have to trace. It'll be a lot more work for you to do. So don't do too many lines. Like if you did extra lines in here, that's okay, but you'll have to trace them again on the other side. Okay, so now you can see, I'm going to zoom out here. You can see we have our back fin, our top fin. Now we need like this fin on the bottom, and this one's going to be a little differently shaped. Let me hold this paper down with my elbow. It's going to start right about here, and it's going to curve down almost to the end of the paper, right? And it's going to curve all the way out here. Okay, but then it's going to curve back like this. So it looks like that kind of a fin. It's different than the top. The top is kind of, it's rounded. It's almost like, I don't know, like bubbles almost. This one's kind of like a, I don't know, like a shark fin. I don't know. But that helps the fish like steer and stuff like that. So again, we want some lines in here. So let's do 3 or 4 lines. I'm going to do one in the middle. It's going to curve. It follows the contour of that back curve. Contour is the direction of the shape itself. So you can see the back of the fin curves like this. If I want to follow that contour, this line in the middle is also going to curve in a very similar way to that. So that's like following the contour. Okay. If not, just draw it so it matches that. Then now in the middle of this one and this one, I'm going to do another one. Again, it's going to follow the contour. It's going to curve just like that. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Just try your best. I'm going to try, to curve it to match that. That's pretty good, but I've been doing this for like far too many years that I care to admit. Same thing. I want to have another line in here. It's going to follow the same contour. It's going to bend that way. Okay, there we go. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool fin. Okay, not bad. Okay. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause it and draw it and then catch up, right? Okay, so now it's time to draw the eye. The eye is not difficult to do, but you want to follow this kind of carefully and it will look good. So first, the eye is going to be it's going to be kind of close to the front of your fish. It's not going to touch, but it's going to be close. And it's going to be a circle about this big. Now, circles are kind of hard to draw, so just draw carefully. Let's see. It's going to be kind of a big circle. Now, if you make so let's see, how big is that? It's about that big. That's about 2 inches. If a parent is helping, it's about 2 inches. Circle. You can kind of see where it is on his body. It's kind of near the top. It doesn't touch here. It's kind of here. It's closer, higher, closer to this edge. Now, if you made your circle bigger, that's okay. If it's a little smaller, that's okay. You don't want to make it too small though. Just one big circle. Okay. Now what we want to do is we're going to make kind of a cute eye. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a curve in here. let me show you what I mean. It's going to be like, so about right, maybe in the center. So about in the center of the eye, we're going to draw a curved line, and it's going to curve right back to the center. It's going to kind of make kind of a crescent moon. That's a crescent moon, right? So it's kind of like a curve within that circle. This is going to be the white part of the eye. We're going to fill this in with black later, like with your marker. Not today, but this will be filled in black. So this is like the pupil. Now what we need is a highlight. We need a highlight. So like the light is shining down from the top of the water onto our fish. And so he has a highlight. It's a circle, and it'll be like right here. It's a small circle. So that's going to be the highlight. So the light's shining down, there'll be a highlight here. So when we fill later, like next week, when we fill this in with black, we're going to leave this part white. So it's like the highlight. The light is hitting his eye there. It looks pretty good, right? Okay, sweet. So now we've got a nice eye, and that looks pretty good. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to have a curve for his head, right? So we want to have a curve for his head. So it's going to be like this. You don't want to make it too big, right? It's gonna be close, probably about an inch away from his eye, and it's just going to curve like this. I'm just going to draw it, and then I'll show it to you. You don't want to make it too big because it'll be too big. We want to have space for all of our patterns back here. In fact, that's pretty big, but that's okay. So if you made it a little closer, that's actually okay. That looks good. So there he is. So that kind of looks like his face. And then over here, we're going to have either scales or patterns, right? Now you can choose to either have lips or a smile. Let's see. Okay, so if you want to do lips, I'll do a smile on this one. So here's lips. If you want to do lips, you're going to do like a circle. Well, it's not a circle. It's like a half circle, right? So you're kind of like in the middle of that curve, of that lemon curve, right? And you're going to do half circle, kind of like an M. It's like an M on its side, but that makes lips. So lips are pretty cool. I like lips. They look kind of fun on fish. But if you just want to do a smile, you can do a smile too. So I'll just do a smile on this guy. A smile can be as easy as this. You can just go. I mean, it can be as simple as that. That's it. Or, I mean, you can. Fish don't have teeth, but you could go like this. Fish don't have teeth. Dare I draw teeth? Don't draw too many teeth if you do teeth. But you could have just drawn that one line, like just that smile. Like that would have been okay too. Maybe you want to have a little line here. I don't care. You know, it's your fish. So I mean, you just want it to look good. I just added teeth for fun. Piranha have teeth, I think. I think they do. That's how they eat everything, but normal fish, they don't. Okay, so here's my fish so far. Now what we want to do is, okay, you have a choice. Now, here's an example of textures. And I like the textures. The textures are good. And you can pick different kinds of textures. But we need to draw these subdivisions first. Okay. Oh, I didn't do any pattern back here. You'll have patterns back here too. So like I can do like X's here. X's would be a weird pattern on a fish. Actually, it doesn't look too bad if you offset it. Offset means, so I'm doing X's, right? I skip a space, so it's kind of like it's every other one. It's kind of like a zigzag with those X's. So it's kind of like if I have a row here, I have like a blank X, then I have X blank, and then blank X. So there's kind of an empty spot, kind of like a checkerboard. That's offset. Although it's hard to tell, it's such a small strip, that's hard to tell, but who cares? Okay, whatever. Patterns though, we're gonna have patterns. If you just want to do scales, you can draw scales. I don't know if I want to do scales. I mean, let's draw these. If you just want to do scales, I don't want to draw. Let's see here. This is for school. I can't draw it on this one. if you were going to draw scales, you could go like this. You can just draw these big curves, and then you draw more curves. You can just draw these scales. I don't want to do, let's do patterns. Patterns are more fun and interesting. But if you want to do scales, I'm going to do scales as one of my patterns. And then if you just want to do scales the whole way, you could just do scales and not worry about pattern, because the scales themselves are a pattern. But let's do the four strips of in our fish to do a pattern. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the center of our fish. This is going to be kind of hard, so maybe a parent can help you. I don't know. It's not easy. I help my students in class, so if a parent's there to help, great. If not, try your best. We want to find the center. Now remember how I said it's curves, it kind of goes along with the contour of the fish? See how this kind of curves like this? So that means our line isn't just going to go straight down. It's going to curve just like the contour of the end of the fish. So let's see, here I go. You want to find the center. Here's that center mark. And it's going to follow that contour. Remember, I'm drawing this kind of lightly, and then it curves back in. That didn't perfectly follow the contour, but it's close enough. That's pretty good. Actually, I like it that it didn't curve so much. But that's right in the middle. Okay. Now, in this, I got two stripes, right? Well, we want to have 4 stripes. So we're going to draw another stripe in the middle here and another stripe back here. Let's start with the back one first because it's closer to our contour shape. So again, you want to find the middle of this area. It's about right here. About. Then you're going to curve just like that contour in the back. It's going to curve and come back in. So it curved. It didn't curve as much as that, but that's okay. You just don't want to go straight down. That's no good. All right, now I want to divide. So I divided it in 2. Now I want to divide this one in 2. So again, I kind of find the center. I want to match the contour of these lines. It's hard to do. I'm holding the camera. All right, that's pretty good. That's hard to do. So if a parent can help you, great. If not, try your best. If it's not perfect, it's okay. Try not to do, don't do more than, so how many stripes do I have? I have 3 lines. So I did 1, 2, 3, and it gives me 4 stripes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't do too many stripes because remember, you're going to have to trace this on the back. If you do like tons of detail, you're going to have to do it on the back of your fish, and that's going to be a lot of work. So make it, it doesn't have to be super complicated. Make it easy for yourself because you're going to have to trace this fish again. So the more details you put in your patterns, the more difficult it's going to be to do it on the other end. Okay, it's a pretty big fish, huh? He's kind of cool. I wish I could use this guy as a pillow, but he would totally get destroyed. So you can't. You can just look at your fish. He'll be cool. Okay, so now we need to come up with patterns. I'm going to start with a. I'm going to show you a scale pattern. I'm going to turn my fish on his side. And you don't have to, you can do any patterns you want. You don't have to do, I'm just going to show you some different ideas. You can do whatever you want. You just want to be, you want your pattern to be big and simple. You don't want it to be super tiny and small because that will be difficult to do. But I'm going to do a scale, like he has fish scales, and then I'll show you what that looks like. So that would be like curves. Let's see, I'm just going to do a curve here. So it's going to curve here. Right? Oh, you can't even see that. Okay. And then it's going to, they kind of overlap a little bit. So it's going to curve like that. Need a little bit more pencil there. Okay. Notice how my scales are not too small. If they were smaller, it would be a lot more work to do. Okay. Scale here. Now look, I can't fit a full scale in here, so it's okay if it just kind of goes off. Like you only see half of that scale. That's okay. Now, when you do scales, a good thing to do is offset it, remember? So offset's another kind of complicated term. I kind of mentioned it earlier. But basically, offset is where they're not perfectly lined up. It's like they're in the middle, right? So it's like I got a scale here. Offset would mean it'd be right in the middle, and the next one would be in the middle. So it's kind of like they got offset. They got pushed over to the side. That's kind of what offset means. Okay, so my next bump is going to be in the middle. Right? And then I'm going to do another one here. Make them big. If you make them big, you won't have to, like, technically there might be another one in there. Let's see. Big, and then big. So that's offset. Now you might see, like, that's it. You might see another, remember how, like, this one you didn't see the whole scale? So, like, you might see part of that other scale. So it would be like this. Like, you have a little line here, right? Let's see. This one, oh boy, you might see it. If you don't draw these, it's okay. See, these are getting smaller, but you would definitely have one here, and you kind of cuts off. So that's scales. If you want to do scales instead of these stripes, you can. Like, but you'd make them big. Like, see how this one's getting small? You'd make them bigger. You go big, 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 and then big, 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 and offset those. So it's like, so then the next one would be in the center. So like, so this one's in the center here, but then it's in here, the center here again. So it goes, you know, it's like a checkerboard. That's kind of tricky to do. If you want to do it, great. If not, don't worry about it. Okay, so I need to come up with other ideas. You can do whatever you want. You could do hearts. Hearts are kind of hard to draw. I had a lot of students that wanted to do hearts. You could do, well, I'm not going to do circles right next to this. I'm going to do zigzags. Zigzags are fun and easy. So I'm going to do zigzags. You don't have to do zigzags. I'll show you different patterns, and you're like, maybe you want to do your zigzags here and do something else. You can, whatever you want to do for your patterns is fine by me. Remember, you don't want to be too complicated. Like, you don't want to do a bunch of little lines, like a million little zigzag lines. Now that would look good, but remember, it's going to be hard because you have to trace it on the other side. So a nice simple pattern in your stripe is all you need. Like, I wouldn't do more than this. Usually my students, they do a bunch of little zigzags. Like, they do too many, and that's a lot of work. So don't do it. Simple. See how simple that is? All right. Let's see, what other things can I do? I could do, well, I did those X's. I don't know if I want to do X's. Let's see, what else can I do? Oh, I could do shapes like squares. Here, I'll do some squares. Now, the squares, I'm going to kind of curve them, though, like the contour. That's hard. That might be hard to do. And I'm going to offset them, too. I'm just giving you ideas. You can do whatever you want. So here it's like square, empty space, square. Then it's empty space, square, empty space. Then I have square. It's curving, though, right? That's hard. If you can do this, you're amazing. See how they're offset? It's like a checkerboard, except they're not touching. You could make them touch. So then I find the center. Okay, and if they're too big or too small, don't worry about it. See how I'm kind of curved? They're curving, they're bending. That's hard to do. So if you did squares and they don't bend like this, don't worry about it. That's hard to do. If you can make it, so watch, this one's really going to bend. So I need another one in the middle here. So it's really bending. That's like following the contour. That's a hard thing to do. Artists have a hard time doing that stuff. So if that's challenging, dude, it is challenging. I mean, okay. So anyways, I did squares. But you could do circles, you could do X's. Let's see, let's look at my other one before we move on to that final one. Here I did a zigzag the long way. That's kind of hard. I did circles. Remember, see how big they are? They're kind of offset, not totally. They're kind of like polka dots. They're big, though. They're big. Here I've got wavy lines. I got wavy lines. That's a good idea. I do X's. X's are okay. Let me see if I can think of something different, though. But you could do anything. Like I said, some students want to do hearts. Hearts are hard to draw. You could do triangles. You could do, let's see, what else is there? I don't know. You could do scales. I did scales. You could do, oh, I can't think of stuff. You could do lines. Maybe I just want to do some lines. I'll do some lines. So like maybe I just want to do, like I can have lines that just go in different directions. Notice how there's not a lot of them. So that could be a texture too, right? So you can invent it. You can invent but notice how it's not very big. It's not very, that's it. I'm trying to keep it simple. Some students add extra lines in here. That's okay. Like maybe you want to put one in the middle of these. Just remember, don't do too many. Like I think if I added another one, here, I'll just do it for fun. I'll just add, but I wouldn't do more than this. That would be too much work. Okay, there. Did I do it? Almost looks like I can have another one here. You can have extra lines, but like, don't just do a bunch of little lines. I mean, it looks nice now, but then later you would have to trace it again. So like, you don't want to make it too complicated. Like, how many times have I said that? You're gonna do it, and you're like, oh my gosh, Mr. Smith is right. I did too much detail. It's okay if you do too much detail. It's just gonna be a lot of work at the end. So that's it. That's it for today. Hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you could use my textures. I got some other textures here. I don't really care what kind of textures you do. I got different ideas here. I got X's, I got wavy lines, circles, wavy lines going this way. Here I've got squares. You could do triangles. You could do, these are zigzags. They're not very wavy. You got scales, whatever you want, whatever looks good. Next week, what we're going to do is we're going to get a Sharpie, or a Sharpie works best. This is a regular Sharpie. You probably have this at home. If you don't, you should probably get one. These are the most useful. This is like having a scissors at home, having a Sharpie. This is just a regular Sharpie. It's like a fine. It's called a fine point. It's not that fine in my opinion, but this is just a regular Sharpie. So what we'll do is we'll trace this very carefully. We'll trace it very carefully, and that's why you don't want to have too many lines, because you got to trace everything, right? Then what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over, and we're going to try to, well, there's a couple different ways we could do it, but we'll talk about it next week. If you put it up on a window, you won't be able to see it. If you put it against a window, you'll be able to see your fish, and you'll be able to trace it. Or if you have a light box, I know you don't have a light box at home, but if you had a light box, you would be able to trace it too. But sometimes you can put it up against, we'll talk about that next week. Anyways, we're going to trace our fish on the back. That'll be next week. Then the third week, we're going to use watercolors, and we're going to paint it. Now, if I'm going to try to send home watercolors. If for some reason I don't send home watercolors, you could use crayons, you could use colored pencils, you could use markers. But watercolor will be fun, so I'm going to try to get that home to you. And I'll also send home yarn, because we'll stitch this thing. If you, boy, I'm wondering if maybe I'll do it, but we'll talk about that in the weeks to come. So for now, we're done. So hopefully you had fun. You have a big fish. Keep this in a safe space, safe spot, so he doesn't get squished or wrinkled. And next week we'll continue to work on our fish. So I hope you had fun, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good week. Bye.